So as you know, I've renamed today Dissection Day. So we're dissecting tears in the Commons and the welfare bill implosion, which is an absolute unmitigated disaster for everyone, not just the Labour Party. I think they'll bear the brunt of it in terms of optics, but we will bear the brunt of it in terms of finance, like we always do. Oh, please do keep liking, subscribing and sharing. We're on 31,000, like in a day. It's amazing. So Keir Starmer did an interview and, without getting into the nitty gritty of the welfare bill, which is being, dissected across the media as we speak. But Keir Starmer said, I take responsibility for what happened. Yeah. You're the Prime Minister. You should. It's your job. I mean, anyone else? Why would you not take responsibility, Keir? Whose fault was that? Was that like the tea lady's fault? Was that the opposition's fault? Whose fault was it if it wasn't your fault that you rushed through yet another bill that you didn't do the research for, you didn't do the due diligence for, the numbers didn't stack up, and it got panned? Whose fault was it? And at which point, when everyone was going, you need to rethink this. You need to do the maths again. This is not going to work. And again, whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, as a bill, it didn't work. So whatever your political stance on it, whether you feel as though the welfare payment should have been cut or not cut, the reality is there was no substance to the bill that was proposing what it didn't know it was proposing because it had been rushed through. And we were told that this was imperative that it happen now. We were told that this had to happen now. It was a moral imperative that this happened today, right now, this minute. And now it's happening in 2026. So again, what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that they don't know how to create a policy. They don't know how to give it time. They don't know how to give it the due diligence and the legislation that it needs. But it also shows me that every other policy that they've come and laid bare for us all to see and go, oh yay, great, not great, hasn't been thought through. And again, always bring it back to VAT on education. So that is making no money. We've had the latest figures out now. In fact, the figures from the breakfast clubs. And let me tell you, they are not an unmitigated success. In fact, there are no more people going to the taxpayer funded breakfast clubs than there were going to the charity funded breakfast clubs. So all the breakfast clubs that we had before that were working really well with the charities and the schools have now been taken over by the state at your expense, and there are no more people going. In fact, in a lot of them, there are less people going because the provision is worse. So when Keir Starmer sits and says, we've done lots of good things, look at all the things we're doing in schools, which he just stops with. So he says things like breakfast clubs. That's as far as he gets. And breakfast clubs, so we've had to get rid of some free school meals for some kids so that we can do breakfast clubs for kids that don't need it. And we've taken kids out of the education in the education that they're happy in because we've said we're going to put VAT on it. We've put VAT on it. We haven't got any money from that because more have left to the state system. There are no places in the state system. There is no money for breakfast clubs. There's no money for anything. But he doesn't say that. He goes, we've done some good things. Really? I listened to a trailer for a podcast about Tibet today, and it talked in a negative light about state-run schools and children having to learn Mandarin. And I thought, wow, where do we think we're going with our state-run schools and our state-run absolutely everything? And we've got a Prime Minister who turns around after an absolute, you can still smell the rubber on the U-turn and says, I take full responsibility. As though we're supposed to fawn over him and go, well done, Keir. Thank you. Yes, no, that's really good of you for taking full responsibility for the absolute fuck up that you made that is going to cost this country even more money. We've got a £5 billion black hole now. How the hell are we going to fill that? And we can't say it was their fault because they weren't in power. It was your fault. So who are we going to blame? We're trying to blame already the people claiming PIP. So in the same way that the pensioners will have their winter fuel allowance, but we're trying to make them feel guilty for it. Well, you can have it, but we're going to have to take the money from somewhere else. It's not like you can spend the same money twice, said Pat McFadden. We weren't trying to spend the same money twice. Pat, you were. We weren't. No one else was. It was just you trying to spend the same money twice. And now you're trying to emotionally blackmail those who are entitled, because of legislation, to have their winter fuel payments or indeed their PIP payments. So they were entitled to it. You tried to take it away. You didn't cost it. You didn't come up with a way to do that so that those that really needed it would still get it. No. You just took it away because you were going to save 5 billion quid because of their black hole that never existed because no one ever saw any of it. You've spent your entire year blaming the Tories, and now you've got yourself in a bit of treacle, haven't you? You're swimming in that treacle. You are making no progress. And at some point, you're going to go under. And whose fault is that going to be? Your own. You can't blame them. They had nothing to do with this. But all we've got is a very weak and feeble leader at the top who can't even see the emotion of his own Chancellor having floods of tears sat behind him in Prime Minister's questions. We've got him going, I take responsibility for that, like it's a badge of honour. Like, yeah, I can admit that I was wrong because I'm one of those who likes to reflect. You should have reflected for the past 14 years, and you should have reflected and done all of this beautiful reflection before you even imposed the bill. It should have happened with VAT, it should have happened with the pensioners, it should have happened with PIP, it should have happened with the farmers, it should have happened with absolutely everything you've done, but you didn't, because you're like a bull in a china shop and act in haste, repent at leisure. And that's what's happening to this country. We are footing the bill for you finally realising that it was all your fault. Well, it was, Keir. Round of applause. Now where are we going?